All right, there we go. So we should be recording now. All right, my name is Matthew Land. I'm the president of the Miami Beach Democratic Club. It is 7:04 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. Again, in the chat is the agenda for tonight's November General Membership meeting, along with the minutes from our October General Membership meeting. I'm going to have everybody on mute. Please use the raise my hand feature if you do want to say something, or if you are calling by phone, which I don't think anybody is, you can use dial *6 to also raise my hand, and then we can call on you to be recognized. All right. All right, here we go. November General Membership meeting. Amanda, we've not quite yet made quorum, so we will go ahead and move in it to executive board reports. I'll go ahead and give you your president's report. First of all, I want to take a moment to thank each and every single one of you, all of you who volunteered your time, gave your money to any one of our Democratic candidates, whether they were here based in Florida, whether they were Miami-Dade County-based candidates, Miami Beach candidates, any and all the above. I think that at the end of the day, we had an extremely strong showing, despite some of the election results that happened. I do think that it is important to celebrate that Vice President Biden is our president-elect and Kamala Harris is our vice president-elect, and that's extremely exciting that we were hopefully finally able to take back the White House. Along with that, our club put a very strong focus on down ballot races. And what that means is that we put a lot of our emphasis into making sure that we turned out voters, Democrats specifically, for some of our nonpartisan seats, including county mayor, county commission, and school board. Why is that important? It's really important for us to be able to do that because when we turn out down ballot Democrats for those very specific races, we know that they are by large and part going to vote at the top of the ticket. And it's getting that Democrat to actually physically turn out to vote, making sure that they know that some of these races that are nonpartisan, we had very strong progressive Democrats running against conservative Republicans. And it's important for them to know that. Why is that also so important? Because those candidates in nonpartisan races are not able to say, I am Danielle Levine-Cava, I'm a Democrat, I'm running for office. They can only respond and say, I am a Democrat when asked. So it's incumbent upon organizations like ours and volunteers to go out and say, yes, it's so great you're voting blue all the way down the ticket, but it's important to know that some of these Democrats don't have a D next to their name. And with that, I'm very, very, very excited that we historically have our first female mayor of Miami-Dade County, and Danielle Levine-Cava, who is a true progressive champion. She is also the first progressive county mayor since 1992, which is very exciting that the tides at County Hall seem to be shifting more in progressive's favor. In addition to that, we very successfully reelected our tried and true champion, County Commissioner Eileen Higgins for County Commission District 5. And then also got one of our very own, Lucia Baez-Geller, is school board elect member Baez-Geller, which is very, very exciting and should be joining us a little bit later on this evening. I apologize if this report is a little bit long, but I do think there's a lot of amazing, amazing things that I want us to cover. So what did we do as a club during the general election? We did a lot, and many of you helped us do all of that as well. We hosted 2 Biden caravans. I think the first one had about 30 cars. The second one had 50 plus cars in it, which is really exciting. I think we'll hear more about that from Bill Warren later on in his report. Throughout the entire general election, we held twice weekly phone banks. Many of you participated in those. We mailed out postcards. We did 2 text message banks. We had a presence at the Lincoln Road Antique Market to not only register voters, but also pass out the Democratic slate card to any of those members that were coming to Lincoln Road that were eligible to vote in Miami-Dade County. We participated in a DEC grant proposal, which allowed us to do an aerial banner during the first week of early voting, encouraging voters to go out to Miami Beach City Hall from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. and vote for Biden and other candidates. We also had a honk and wave right over there by Trader Joe's, which was extremely enthusiastic. We had a fun sandwich walking billboard that Patrick Breshik wore to promote our DC endorsed candidates. And we also passed out slate cards. We did a lit drop for Lucia Baez-Geller up in North Beach. We did voter registration and vote by mail enrollment at a couple of the food distribution events that were hosted by Commissioner David Richardson. We started a new program called Wind Down Wednesdays, which is a great way for our members to interact in a way that doesn't always necessarily revolve around politics, but a way for us to get to know each other a little bit better, which is really exciting. We also want to make sure we promote the social aspect of our club as well, because yes, while we are all gathered here as Democrats and focused on the elections, it is nice to socialize and mingle. And while we can't do that in person like we used to, hopefully that day comes soon. But for the time being, we implemented a new program called Wind Down Wednesday. And on top of that, we also helped staff the early voting sites, election day sites, and recruited many poll workers for the over 1,000 poll workers that were recruited from Miami-Dade County. So what are some statistics on what we actually were able to accomplish in all of this? Because I think that's important to not only talk about all of the events that we did do, but to also quantify that into real meaningful numbers. We don't yet quite have all of that data on what we did, but we do have a lot of really good numbers. So here are some numbers for you. During the general election, starting August 18th after, we made 6,388 phone calls for the general election. It's absolutely insane and absolutely amazing. I know that that number is probably on the lower side, and I say that because many of you also did phone banks for other organizations. Many of you also did phone banking during election day and final weekend, that Sunday, that Monday, that final push. And so those numbers aren't quantified into our numbers that we were able to track. We sent 15,199 postcards during the general election cycle. Some of those went to vote by mail enrollment in County Commission District 5 for Eileen Higgins. And the remainder of those, the bulk of them, went to promote our Democratic endorsed candidates in really hard to canvass areas like buildings, gated communities, and things like that. We hosted 2 of those text banks. I don't have the data on the second one. That's the data set that we're still waiting on. But I do know that from the first one, where we had 18 texters, 18 folks texting in that first phone bank, or first text bank, excuse me, we sent 4,734 text messages, which is absolutely amazing. That second one, I believe that we had close to 65 people registered for the text bank. So if 18 people did 4,700 text messages, then I can only imagine what like 65 people did. On top of that, and this is the number that I'm probably the most proud of, 240 volunteers have been trained and completed phone banks, text messaging, and sending postcards to our Democratic voters across Miami-Dade County. And that is absolutely amazing. I think it's been a long time since we've been able to kind of really hone in on some of this data, and really excited to share some other things with data as we move forward. Here's some stats on 2016 versus 2020, because I do want to put things into a real perspective. Florida obviously didn't go for Biden, and there's a lot of issues with that. I think that as we work to unpack some of that, and as we work to do the post-mortem election analysis and so on and so forth, and we were able to better understand what happened during the election, and where we succeeded and where we failed and where we could do better. That will all come in the next few weeks. But here's some quick stats on 2020 Miami-Dade County. In 2016, Miami-Dade County was 34% for Donald Trump and 63% for Hillary Clinton. We saw a drastic change in that in this 2020 cycle. 45.98% of voters voted for Donald Trump in Miami-Dade County, and 53.31% of voters voted for Joe Biden. It's a 10-point swing, and it's a 10-point swing in a way that we didn't want it to be. We are also still waiting to dive into that Miami Beach very specific voting data, and so that we can be able to compare how we did in 2016 versus how we did in 2020. And I think that will also provide a phenomenal opportunity for our club and our leadership to best determine strategies on how we can grow as a club. Find areas where we are not doing as well. Maybe that's up in North Beach, maybe that's in Bay Beach, and so on and so forth with our Democrats. And really work with our elected committee people and Dan Royles for South Beach, and working with David Geller up in the North Beach area to identify ways that we can work together to try to better turn out and better organize our Democrats. So again, a 10-point swing, not in the right direction for Biden, for the Democrats in Miami-Dade County is not good. And certainly I think there's a lot of things that we probably do know. A lot of us are speculating and trying to figure out what's going on. I think that a lot of the media has portrayed it, and I think that's something that I think we can probably all agree on. There were a lot of issues in both the Hispanic communities as well as the Black communities. And those are things that we still need to obviously continue evaluating to better understand what went wrong, what went right, and how we can do better. But I do think that this is me personally, that with more grassroots efforts focused on what voters want, what voters are saying that they are asking for of their elected officials. Once we do more of that kind of one-on-one conversations, along with finding out what they are wanting, finding out what they're needing, finding out what they're asking for, we can better develop that message. And I think even further from there, I think it's not just about having the right message, but it's about having the right messengers, because that's extremely important. I understand that as a cisgender white gay male, I might not be the appropriate person to be talking about socialism and the Democratic Party's platform in Little Havana. I'm probably not the right person. But if we work to better identify some of the messengers, maybe we could try to kind of head off some of those issues that we saw in the 2020 election. Again, a lot of really phenomenal things happened. Elected our first female mayor of Miami-Dade County, re-elected Eileen Higgins, elected Lucia Baez-Geller as our school board representative. A lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, a lot of postcards, a lot of volunteers. And with that, we still know that this election is not over yet. We have a Georgia Senate runoff and 2 races, which is scary, but very exciting at the same time. It's exciting because this is an opportunity for us to take that list of 240 volunteers, further grow that list of 240 volunteers, and try to do everything that we possibly can to help take back the United States Senate. Janice Good, one of our board members, has been one of our foremost advocates for taking back the United States Senate, and she's helping to guide us and provide us with some of those resources for where we can be giving our money and how we can be getting involved. And I thank her for that. And I certainly appreciate us taking this time while our election is over. I think it's important for us to do what we can to focus on the Georgia Senate runoffs. At our board meeting this last Monday, our board unanimously voted for us to move forward with holding twice weekly phone banks once again for the Georgia Senate runoff races. So starting this Saturday, and it'll be every Saturday from 12 to 3, and then on Tuesdays from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m., we will again be phone banking into Georgia. It's going to be a little bit slightly different though, in that we won't be hosting our own list. We will be going through those campaigns and those organizations. They're going to be calling to both those United States Senate runoffs. But it's extremely important for us to take this time, again, appreciate what we were able to do, but I think still try to find a little bit of energy left in each of us to make a few phone calls because it is so vitally important to do so. Listen, when you make phone calls, you can make about 30 to 40 in an hour as an efficient, phone banker. And if everybody gives an hour of their time, I mean, we're talking about a lot of phone calls into Georgia, and hopefully we can do our small part as the Miami Beach Democratic Club to take back the United States Senate. A couple of other things that I wanted to announce as part of my presence report is our club leadership structure. So again, I think you probably have heard me many, many times asking folks if they would like to step up and volunteer into one of our leadership roles. We have several open committees, and I'm extremely happy to report that the board unanimously approved the appointments of a brand new data committee chair as well as the campaign committee chair. I'll let you hear from them later on in the meeting, but I'm very pleased to announce that we have David Geller, who is going to head up our campaign committee. And then we also have Matt Moran, who is going to head up our data committee. We're still working to flesh out a couple of our open committee chairs. And we are still looking for a voter registration chair. If anybody has any interest in that, please do reach out to me or reach out to our general membership account. It's miamibeachdems@gmail.com if you do have any interest in this at all, or if you have any interest in joining any of our committees. I do hope that by our December meeting, we will be able to announce a neighborhood and building organizing committee chair. We have someone who's expressed a great deal of interest in that, and I hope that we're able to announce them then. Two more quick things, and then we will move on with the rest of our business. So Want to really quickly address some internal club board and leadership issues that have been going on. So while our club and leadership has been experiencing some internal issues, we want you to know that we are taking steps to address them. A couple of things that we are doing is that we have created 2 subcommittees, one of which these are all being headed up by our board and our leadership team. The first subcommittee is set out to handle board and leadership code of conduct. And the second one is the handling of members' information. We want to make sure that our board and our leadership team conducts themselves and with the utmost integrity and respect to you and respect to each other. And so we think that's important for us to make sure that we do and that we codify. The second thing is the handling of our members' information. We want to make sure that we're handling your information, which is sensitive information. We want to make sure that we're handling it appropriately. And so with that, we hope to put in place some protocols and adopt them at our December meeting. Lastly, and I don't want to have too much discussion on this, happy to talk more offline or before the meeting starts or even during the meeting itself, but we will be having a special meeting next Monday, November the 23rd at 7 p.m. And 2 motions at that meeting will be presented. One will be presented by all of the board of directors, excluding the parliamentarian, that were present at our board of directors meeting this past Monday, which is a motion to remove Richard Kastle as our parliamentarian. The second motion is a motion by Richard Kastle to remove Matthew Land as the president of the Miami Beach Democratic Club. An email went out last week to outline some of these issues, and a further reminder email will go out later on this week. In order to participate and actually vote in the meeting, you must be a current dues paying member and good standing to vote on any of those motions present. In order for us to vote on any motions at that meeting, we must reach a quorum to vote on either of those motions. Right now, that quorum, depending on the number of members that we have, is sitting somewhere around 30 to 34, just depending on the total number of memberships, because they do fluctuate when new members join or when other members do drop off. Each motion will require 2/3 majority vote to pass, and more details, including the structure and format of the meeting, will be coming out ahead of the meeting. I'd like to, if we can, for the remainder of the meeting, I'd like to refrain from any kind of questions or discussion on that, as we have dedicated an entire evening to addressing that. And I think that we should go about the business of our meeting this evening and reserve all of that for our special meeting next Monday. The last and final thing that I do have for you is that we do have club elections coming up in March. I know it's a little bit early to be talking about that, but I do want to flag it and put it on your radar. If you are thinking about wanting to step up in a leadership role, if you do want to run for a position, this is the time to be started thinking about those things. Our elections are set up so that they are held every 2 years. The one that we held back in June should have been held in March, but we had to postpone due to COVID. And that election is set up for the officers, the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, parliamentarian, and board seats number 2 and 4. The other 2 years, every other 2 years, I guess, we have elections for board seats 1 and 3. We have had our vice president, Mike Caffey, did resign earlier this month or late in October. And so the board has decided to postpone the special election for vice president to just hold it in conjunction with the board seats 1 and 3, which will be up for election or re-election, depending on what those current officers would like to do. I see a quick question in the chat from Melissa. I just want to quickly address this. Meeting is open for anybody. Most folks, this is the Miami Beach Democratic Club. Most folks do live in Miami Beach, but you don't have to be living in Miami Beach to become a member of the Miami Beach Democratic Club. We have folks that used to live here, live on the mainland now, that are still members. We have folks that have even moved out of state that still actively participate in our clubs. So yes, open to anybody in the county, open to anybody anywhere. But that is all for my president's report for this evening. Again, thank you all so very much for all that you have done during this election cycle. It has been extremely inspiring to me to be with all of you at these events, whether we're doing it virtually or whether we're doing them in person, to be fighting the good fight and to electing Democrats up another ticket. And with that, we will move on to a secretary's report.
Hi, thank you, Matthew. Thank you, everyone. So just very brief, we have 147 members. The board kind of met recently, and we discussed putting kind of jointly a better effort to reach out to the expired members that we have, because right now everyone kind of receives an auto-generated email, but you know, it's been a tough year, obviously, with the election going on. We just want to make sure that people don't drop off the radar and are able to join back in the club. So we're going to be emailing out people that have expired. And then also just a reminder, dues $25 a year, but you can always donate more if you want. And I'm going to be putting also a link. I know Matthew just mentioned our board member, Janice, has been doing a lot of good work with the Senate races. And she provided a good link for donating to the Georgia Senate race. So I'll put that in the chat right now if anyone is interested in that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Amanda, did I hear you say we reached quorum? We did reach quorum. Okay. Patrick, if you don't mind, let me just quickly pause just so in case we don't lose quorum. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our October general membership meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Moved by Linda Colco. Is there a second? Second by Etta Valero Figueroa. And I totally mispronounced your name, and I'm so sorry.
Don't worry.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from our October general membership meeting. Is there any discussion? All right. Seeing no discussion. All those in favor of approving the minutes from our October general membership meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. The minutes from the October general membership meeting have been approved. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. Sorry, I keep hitting my mute button. Next up, we've got Patrick Breshik with our treasurer's report.
Yep. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Just a quick update since Matt covered a lot of the things that we did in this last month, including what we spent that money on. He mentioned that we did get a grant from the DEC for $1,700, which we then spent on the aerial banner and the sandwich board promoting our down ballot and top of the ballot candidates. And then we also spent $372 on signs and banners and a Biden-Harris cutout, which were used at the events leading up to the election. And so that leaves us with $5,813.14. So thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Patrick.
I would like to ask a question.
Go for it. I'm sorry. Who was that?
Joyce.
Hey, Joyce. How are you?
Hi. I was curious. You did not mention Donna Shalala. I was very surprised that she lost. Do you have any comments? You didn't say. You said nothing about her, and I thought she was a shoo-in. So shows you what I know. Does anyone have any comments about that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think it almost goes back a little bit. Sorry, I'm going to put folks on mute. You know, background noise. Yeah, I mean, I think that what we saw. Hang on. Okay, sorry, I think I fixed it. I think that what we saw is there was a lot of issue in the Hispanic community around the word socialism. And I think that certainly didn't help Donna at all. And I don't think it helped Congressman Debbie Mercosal-Powell either. I think that hurt a lot of our Democrats that had a D behind their name. Certainly, we didn't see that kind of level of threats or attacks towards some of the nonpartisan seats. But I think that was an issue that really kind of stuck with people. I think socialism is a word that most folks don't necessarily fully grasp or understand. And so it's the kind of conjecture behind it is that it's a very bad word and that Donna Shalala must be a socialist. I'm not sure that we as Democrats quite did enough to combat that. I don't know that we all knew quite what the talking points were to combat that. And again, I think it almost goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's that it's not just about whatever the message is, but it's the appropriate messenger. And I think that's always very, very, very important to make sure that we, know and are utilizing the right messengers for some of these things. I think there's a lot of reasons, and I think that again, Joyce, as we unpack, what happened during this election, I'm hopeful that we might find out a little bit more as they really do some deep dives into the precincts, as they do some deep dives into the voters that actually turned out. And I think not just for Donna Shalala's race, but also for some of those other races as well. I do hope that we were able to better understand what happened and better learn from the mistakes, the missteps, whatever you want to call them, so we can hopefully do a little bit better next time.
Can I can I make a comment?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm Cuban, and I have been really thinking very deeply on how do I explain this phenomenon. I really think that the one way, not the only way, but one way that we can move forward. In 2 years, we're going to have to actually bring back to Miami or to somewhere else Marco Rubio. So we really need to start looking at how do we establish a different conversation. We should forget the word socialism. I mean, that's crazy. What we should really be focusing is in social security. Every time anyone says to me anything about socialism, and I said, does your mother receive Social Security? Okay, let's talk about Social Security. How do we protect Social Security? Let's change the conversation. And I believe that
Kitchen table issues. Yes, I agree.
I believe that that's the way forward. We cannot fall into the trap of using these crazy words. We need to really bring in our own conversation and actually talk about what matters to the community and make sure they understand who cares about them and bring that around. We cannot fall into the trap of socialism again.
Can I say something?
Yeah, thank you, Martha. And yes, Janet, I was just about to call on you. Yes, go for it.
So I agree with what Martha just said. I think, and I sent you a text about this, Matthew, after the election. I agree that between defunding the police and the whole socialism thing, that we lost an argument that we didn't necessarily need to lose based on slogans and not real policy issues. And I think the Democratic Party for years have not addressed these attacks meaningfully and correctly. But I will say that I think that one of the reasons Donna Shalala lost is because she ran a terrible campaign. There was one ad on TV, and it was basically an ad attacking whatever her name is, that one, Elvira, whatever her name is. But, I mean, she didn't get her message out to people. I mean, I thought her ad was terrible. And I mean, I voted for her. I met her and I like her. And I think she was, a good congresswoman. She certainly had a lot of connections. That was more senior than a normal freshman would have been because of what she did before. So she had a lot of pull, and probably that helped Miami-Dade County and her constituents because she was more senior than her actual years in Congress. But she ran a terrible campaign. That's why she lost, in my opinion.
Well, Janet, thank you. I appreciate it. And I always appreciate you reaching out to me because I think that, it's always helpful for all of us to kind of come together and provide some of that insight and things like that. And I think that as the Miami-Dade Democratic Party, the Florida Democratic Party, as we, just volunteers and activists and people who care, as we work to kind of better understand what happened in the elections. Again, I'm very hopeful that we will better understand what those missteps were that were taken and ways we can do things like, combat some of those things like the socialism. And I think some folks in here have said, Reagan saying, defund the police argument wasn't explained well. And listen, I think there's two sides to every single one of these arguments, 100%. Some folks are, steadfast in this, and others are, saying this. We just need to better understand it. We need to better understand what our message needs to be coming off of folks on the ground, and not just people knocking doors, but it's what are the people that were knocking doors, or what are they saying? What are Democrats saying to us? And we need to better tailor our message around them and better understand what they want and need, and campaign on those. So, all righty. Well, let's go ahead and move on. If there's no other discussion.
It all comes down to leadership at every level, and having strong leadership in the club itself is not enough. We need strong leadership from someone in the Cuban community who is highly respected, who can go out and say this is nonsense and be believed. And that's what I think, with no intent to offend anyone, I think it's what we didn't have.
No, Virgil, thank you. I think that's helpful. I mean, again, this is an open, safe space, and I think that it's helpful to, figure out, what we're doing. And again, I have full faith that there are a lot of people trying to figure out what went wrong. And I think that coming from our volunteers and the people who are engaged and active, I think is certainly a great way to help provide some of that input.
Let me go one more step. I would suggest we start as soon as we can to identify the person to lead this particular outreach. because that's where we got killed. And that's what we have to fix first.
Yeah.
And you can't do it, and I can't do it. It has to be somebody respected in the Cuban community.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. Again, I think that it's really important that not only do we figure out what that message is, but that we make sure we have the right person delivering the message. And I think that it's important that we also recognize when we are not the right person either to deliver the message, because we know that it's going to be falling on deaf ears. So yeah. All right, moving on. Parliamentary report. Richard, do you have a parliamentary report for us?
Yes, I do. Let's see. Yes, a couple of things on point of order and point of information. If any member wants to, you can interrupt a speaker just by saying, this is a point of information, like say a committee chair is talking about something on December 14th. You see that is actually happening on the 15th. Now, that's perfectly fine. A point of order is where a member is saying something in the meeting is being done out of order. The chair may interrupt anyone at any time and interject what he wants to say, but the chair also must say, finish your point. And so in the future, I do want to make sure that when someone's making a point of order, the point is completed. And one more thing, I have a question to the chair. I have not seen the new agenda. Is new business before this? Is new business back in the meeting, or is it before?
We can take new business after guest speakers.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm done.
All right, thanks, Richard. Alec, you had your hand raised. Did you want to make a point?
I'll bring it up in the new business.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All righty. Well, we are plowing through. Let's move into committee reports. I am pleased to present to you all our brand new campaign chair, David Geller. I will let David do an introduction, but I will say that I am will sorely miss being the campaign chair, a post that I held for almost 2 years. It was a lot of fun. David, you've got a lot of work cut out for you, and I'm really excited for you to be here. So without further introduction, David Geller.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me all, and I'm sorry I'm not on live video. I'm actually in a car, and I'll make this quick. But first, I want to thank Matthew and the board for giving me this opportunity. I'm really excited. I know I have a huge shoes to fill, so I have to do a good job. I know that. But I'm very excited. I'm a proud Democrat. For those of you who don't know me, my name is David Geller. I'll just tell you quick information about me. I'm your DEC committee person for the north half of Miami Beach, and I work for Senator Annette Taddeo doing legislative work. I'm an attorney, and I also am an adjunct professor teaching criminal justice, dual enrollment to high school students. And so that's basically what I do when I'm not trying to help Democrats win elections. But I'm a very proud Democrat. I'm a proud husband to Lucia Baez-Geller, our school member elect. I know she'll be speaking to you all a little later, but I've been involved in dozens of campaigns around the state, both statewide, national, local, and I really look forward to working with our campaign committee, working with our board, working with our president, working with every club member, and working with our campaigns. And just listening to the discussion tonight, I know there's so much information that so many questions we all have, and so much information we want from the different campaigns, from the party. And we need to really learn and figure out what we need to do next. We need to look at data from, precinct level data, neighborhood by neighborhood, what really happened, good, bad, and ugly. And we really plan on doing all of that. And there's so many wonderful Democrats in Miami Beach that we need to protect going forward. And there's so many seats that we need to make sure Democrats win going forward. So I'm committed 100%, and I really look forward to working with all of you. And I'll put my information in the chat so anyone can reach out to me and let me know if you're interested in joining the campaign committee. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, David. We very much look forward to having you on board.
Thank you.
Next up, Oliva and Steve, our communications committee. I'm not sure. Steve, are you presenting the campaign report or the report? Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. So coming off the election, our communications focus was all about the elections, GOTV, and I'm sure you've seen we were sending out a couple emails a week and trying to be as active as we can on social media. Things have slowed down as we kind of figure out what's next. We did add a texting service, so we're just trying to add as many ways as we can to reach people, digitally and otherwise. Our email list currently has about 4,000 members. Our text list about 100. Facebook followers 1,100. We got a lot of new followers during the election. I think Oliva was posting a lot of great videos and photos out on the election sites while poll watching, and that got a lot of reactions on our Facebook and Instagram. Instagram followers 909. We're approaching 1,000. That'll be a good milestone. Help us. And Twitter 564. We also recently have been started to do press outreach here and there a little bit, particularly during the when we had the caravans. We sent out, the DEC gave us a press list of all the press contacts they have, about 200 people. And we got some reporters out to our events and cameras to cover us. So that's another way that we're slowly kind of just building up our communications capacity. I am going to post all of our social media and contact channels into the chat. So please, if you're on social media, like, share, follow, ask a question. We're here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I will reaffirm what Steve said about our social media. If you see something you like, give it a share, give it an extra comment, something like that. It is really, really helpful if you are active on social media, because it has that ripple effect and the algorithms and showing to more folks and things like that. It is super important. So please do like us on our social media channels and feel free to share and things like that. All right, next up, we will have Victoria, I believe, already gave her fundraising report during her secretary report. So we will move on to our outreach chair, Amanda Knapp.
Hi, I'm not in Miami wearing a winter hat. I'm in New York freezing. So hi everyone, I'm jealous you're all warm. So I just want to say I'm so happy for all the work that we did for the election. It was so much fun to work with all of you guys at our events and the antique market. And while we may not have won Florida, we won the bigger picture. And I'm so happy that we have the first woman mayor of Miami. So for me, that was a big win. I definitely, we're going to start wind down Wednesdays again in December. Again, the first and third Wednesday of the month. So if you guys can join, that would be great. And then we're also going to be doing a food drive for the Miami Beach Community Church, a holiday food drive. So we're going to be having 2 drop-off locations, and we'll get, sorry. Sorry. My mom came in and Jack was barking. So yeah, the food drive, Miami Beach Community Church. We're gonna have a North Beach drop-off location, and the other location will be South Beach by me. So keep that lookout in your email for December. And again, that's we're gonna get food donated for the Miami Beach Community Church. And then depending on what's going on with COVID, we would like to get together to do a beach cleanup in January. But again, let's wait a little to see what happens with the numbers. But that's the plan. As soon as we can socially safe distance outside, we're going to do a community beach cleanup.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. Very much looking forward to both of these. And next up, we will have Bill Warren, our program chair. Give us a quick update.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see everybody here, even still active, even after the election is over. And I guess I just want to give a big shout out to everybody who was so very active during this election season. I mean, there was a lot of work that we did, and you know, we didn't win everything that we went after, but I think we did really well. And I think that the results, the work that we did here on Miami Beach, I think it really did make a difference to some of these elections, especially to the commissioner and to the mayor. So I just want to, first of all, thank everybody for their enthusiasm and their hard work. And secondly, as the program chair, you all know that we had our main events were the two caravans that we had during the election season. And they were both very successful. It was something we had never tried before. We did have, they had been having them over in Miami and other places, but the first time we've had them here on the beach. And the first one was successful, and the second one was even more successful. So it was a good way, since we can't go door to door, knocking on doors like we had in the past. It was a way for us to get our message out and to try to get some enthusiasm in the community. And I really do believe that it was effective. So thanks to everyone who participated. And we really appreciate your input and your time and helping us to make that a success. Moving forward, the program committee does not have any other events scheduled for the rest of the year. However, we do want to do some planning for the new year. If anyone is interested in helping us out, we have some people who have some very enthusiastic members on our committee, but we're always looking for new and fresh ideas. So if anyone is interested in joining us, of course, we will be meeting via Zoom. You can reach out to me. I put my contact information in the chat. So just reach out to me, and we will let you know when we would have our next meeting. And again, congratulations to everybody, to our elected officials. And I also want to say, 2 years is going to be here very quickly. And there's a big, there's some big races coming up in 2 years. It'll be here in a flash of an eye. So I think this is a time that we just can't let our guards down. We got to continue to work year round to make sure that we get the right people, the right messaging, and to dispel some of those myths about our party that's out there. So I just want to encourage everybody to please stay engaged, and let's continue to work hard, not just during the election year, but starting, right away. Thanks again, everybody. Look forward to seeing you all and working with you moving forward.
Thank you, Bill. And I think anyone who participated in our caravans really appreciates all of yours and the program committee's hard work. They were a lot of fun. I had a blast doing them. So thank you guys. And thank you, Bill. Next up, we were going to hear from Matt Morand, our brand new data committee chair, but he is stuck at work. Just texted me, he's not able to get onto our Zoom this evening. So I will reserve his introduction for our December meeting when he can join us. But I will say this, I am so excited that we have a data chair because we have a lot of really amazing data from what we just did during our general election. And we have very similar types of data sets for what we did in the primary election. And I think it is so important for us as a club to be able to tell our story and to be able to tell our story not only to elected officials, to prospective candidates, to volunteers, to our own membership, to prospective members, to Miami-Dade County, so they know that we are a club that's a force to be reckoned with. And so I'm really, really excited to see all the great fun things that Matt is going to be able to do and help tell our story with our data. So I will let him introduce himself when he is here in December. But with that, that concludes our committee reports. Again, we still have our neighborhood and building organizing chair is vacant. I hope to have that announcement for you guys in December. But if anybody is interested in the voter registration committee and would like to chair that, we would love to see you there. So without further ado, I would like to introduce one of my friends, someone who I grew up with in this whole Democratic world. Started off in Young Democrats together and rose up into leadership there. And our now school board member-elect, Lucia Baez-Geller. So with that, Lucia Baez-Geller, please take it away. We would love to hear from you. Tell us about what you're going to do as our new school board member and how can we get involved. And then I'd love to take some questions. So the floor is yours. 5-8 minutes, go for it.
Yes, thank you all so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. You guys are my local club, the Miami Beach Dem Clubs, but mostly thank you all for, being there for me, for your love and support, and for your endorsement. So thank you to all the leaders and to the members for your confidence in me. So it's without that went the long such a long way. I can't tell you how much that meant for me. So yeah, the love and support that I received from the Miami Beach Dem Club has really paid off. And as Matt, my friend, said, I was elected as school board member elect. I will be sworn in tomorrow, November 17th at 10 a.m. I will try and look for the link during the meeting, and anyone that would like to join me, in spirit, please log in at 10 a.m. But what I really want to talk to you guys about, aside from the overwhelming joy that I get in being part of this club, is how Matt is referencing the fact that we did come up together. I have been actively working with the party for almost 10 years, since I was in my 20s. I'm 37 now. And really what I think is really great about that is the fact that there is an opportunity to, as we say, build the bench. And on top of all the amazing things that you guys clearly know how to do and do really well in GOTV, in messaging, and everything that not just this Dem Club, but our party is strong in, one way that we can really help grow and build our base is by building the bench and ensuring that we have people of all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds that are ready and willing to serve, that have a passion to serve. And that's really what helped spurred to get me here through the leadership of the Young Democrats that I joined way back in 2011 through people such as Cedric McMinn, who was integral to the Biden campaign here, Councilman Marco Hiron, who was on this call. Coming to these meetings is something that we've always done. Like we said, Matt Land, we've done the circuits of coming to the meetings and just being around people who, when you are ready to serve, are gonna take you across the finish line. And that's what this was. And helping support candidates when they're ready to serve, no matter what they're up against, I think is the bottom line. And I think in my race, I was up against money, whisper campaigns, everything, you name it, it was there. And a lot of people really thought that I couldn't do it. There was no way that I could beat a $700,000 race versus the $90,000 that we raised from many people here in this call. And we did it. So helping support, building the bench, and helping support local candidates, no matter what they're up against, I think is really helpful. And having more Dems in general is going to be helpful. So if you know somebody, please encourage them to run. Please encourage them to start coming to these meetings, to get their feet wet. And that's really what got me to this place right now. In terms of the school board, basically what we're up against is absolutely a Republican agenda. I could say that here. I'm allowed. But we're absolutely up against that. We're fighting the powers that be. We saw the wave that happened. We saw the lost seats, but it's really on us right now to keep fighting. I know that took a lot of energy, all the work that we did, but we have to keep fighting, keep demanding that we get what is ours. In terms of the schools, there is going to be a budget shortfall. So I am going to need you guys as much as possible. And we have teachers on this call in my district. So we're going to make sure that we have you guys doing what you do best, making lots of calls, having town halls, engaging the stakeholders throughout our community here in Miami Beach. And we can build a strong coalition of people, not just here, but even just across the whole district and county, that are going to be fighting for the safety of our teachers and students, that are going to, regardless of what we're up against, do the hard work. And for me, this has been an amazing journey. Like I said, it's been almost 10 years in the making, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the whole point. If you're a proud Dem and you have a passion for serving, this could really be your own amazing journey and Cinderella story, I guess. But for any that doesn't know, I am a teacher by trade, 15 years, and I saw that this seat became, and the funny part is is I never ran for school board, even though I had a passion for it, because I said, well, I can never go up against, you know, a millionaire, which is the incumbent was at the time, and I don't want to run against him. And then the seat opened up. It became an open seat. And I ended up running against lots of millionaires. So there you have it. And we still won. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. You can make a difference. And even just running, putting your name in the race makes a difference. And one last thing, I know we're talking a lot about messaging, but I did run as a proud Dem. I know it's a nonpartisan seat, just like our mayor's seat. And absolutely, you know, I abided by all of the rules there, but I didn't hide that I am a Democrat. And I think that that was actually very helpful because I was proud of it. I didn't try to, you know, shove it under the rug. And I think together we can tackle how to message that better. I know for a lot of people, that was a downfall in this race. You know, I obviously had a different community out here out east, but I think together we can be a part of tackling our message of what a Democrat means. And we can work on that together, and I'll be right there along with you. But for right now, I just want to say thank you. I'll put my information in the chat. If you have any pressing concerns right now, you have a family member that's in a school, anything that I could do for you, I'm going to give you that information. We're going to be working on accountability, transparency, ensuring that we have the well-being and the access to resources that we need. Please let me know of anything. I look forward to working with you. But really, thank you all for the days of action. Thank you for the mobilized phone banks. Thank you for the lit drops. Thank you, Oliva, and Linda for standing with me during early voting. Thank you, Bill, for walking around and having that great, you know, wonderful caravan with everybody. Thank you all for believing in me. And your help meant a lot. And I really, truly believe that it got me across the finish line. I have no doubt about it. And I could not be more grateful. I really can't. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lucia. I mean, I can say I think many of us are very, very, very proud of you. I'm very excited to have you up there on the school board. I cannot wait to see what you're going to do. I'd like to open up the floor for a couple of questions if anybody has any. If you do, just use the raise my hand feature and we will call on you. Any questions for school member elected Lucia Baez-Geller? Nope. Lucia, when is your swearing in?
It's tomorrow. I'm going to put that and my contact information on the chat.
Awesome. Perfect.
Oh, and Wednesday's the first school board meeting. So tune in.
They just give you no break at all.
No break.
Swear in and vote. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Lucia before we move on? All right. I believe Alec Jimenez, you had an item that you wanted to bring up, a new business. Alec, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about what, if there's any plans going forward for the Miami Beach commission races that will be coming up in 1 or 2 years for seats 1, 2, and 3. I just did a little search and there's only currently one person who formerly ran, Blake Young, who's filed to run for those seats. I just feel like it's important that currently our commission is made up of all men and 1 woman. Mickey Steinberg is the only sitting female on our commission, which I don't think is reflective of our population. So I want to know if I really think it'd be important for our club to start focusing now on finding a strong female, maybe someone new to the scene, because we've seen a lot of people who continue to rerun for office in Miami Beach, which could be good, could be bad, but I think it'd be important we start finding, you know, a female progressive candidate. I know it is an non-party, it's an NPA race. And this last time we saw 2 NPAs who were Republican, or just one, I know for sure, who were formerly Republicans and then, you know, unregistered to hide their Republican affiliation. So I think it'd be like, I want to doing with that.
I love it. So I will tell you this, Alec, I can't speak for what candidates are choosing to do or not to do. But often what we see is we see folk kind of holding off to the sidelines until after one major election happens. So if I as the political director for a labor union and someone who's been working on campaigns, volunteering, and lobbying for 13 years now, my best guess is that shortly after the holidays, I expect that we're going to see a flurry of activity of folks who are going to be filing for those seats. Miami Beach is different. You're right. So we hold our elections in odd years. City of Miami Beach does, Hialeah does, a bunch of them do. A lot of municipalities do that. There's been a concerted effort by the legislature to change that, to make them more in line with during even years, during regular election periods. But that bill's never passed in Tallahassee, unfortunately. So what we do have is we do have our odd year elections, which tend to have a much lower turnout, which tend to favor folks that have higher name recognitions, that are able to raise vast amounts of money very quickly and get their name out there. And yes, will we as a club be participating in the elections? 100%. I think 2021 will help gear us up for 2022, which I think is vitally important for us. I think it's a great exercise for our club to do. I think it's almost like when we use the August primaries, because we didn't have massive primaries in the city of Miami Beach, like we didn't have, like Pizzo wasn't on the ballot, Michael Grieco was on the ballot. You know, we didn't have some of like the major draw. So we almost used the August primaries as a way for us to organize our volunteers and get them ready to go for the general election. 2021 is vitally important for us as a city. And I think as many of you do know as well, city commissioners are the ones that are making the decisions that affect our literal daily lives. They're the ones who are deciding where we have the bike lanes. They're the ones who are deciding which developments are getting built. They're the ones that are deciding things like, should we try to, you know, go up against Tallahassee and ban plastic bags? Things that we as Democrats care about. We as progressives care about those types of things. And they do things that affect our daily lives. So that's the long answer to say that I don't think that we as a club have made a concerted effort. But yes, we will 100% be involved in the City of Miami Beach elections. Very much look forward to that. Does that answer your question? Kind of, sort of, not really, sort of? Okay, good. Any other questions, anything else for further discussion?
I do just want to point out that Blake Young is not a Democrat. He's he's an NGA.
Yes.
So.
That is correct. And Dan, thank you for that. I think that it is also helpful to highlight that we as a club have taken a position that it's our duty to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. And with that, a decision was made several years ago, which I think is a good one. While some, you know, it's a nonpartisan seat in the 2019 cycle, where we had several city commission seats and the mayor up for re-election, we as a club chose to only feature Democratic candidates. I know that doesn't feature all viewpoints that are there, but we believe that it's our job to elect Democrats up and down the ticket. And so we made a very conscious decision to only allow Democratic candidates to speak at our city commission forum and to come speak to us at our club. I imagine that will likely continue to remain in the future as well.
Sorry. Do you know if there's been ever search committees or those type of initiatives in the past with or is that even allowed?
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with a few folks getting together saying, hey, let's toss around some names. I mean, I can tell you I was on one of the first phone calls with a whole bunch of Democrats before Eileen Higgins was recruited to run in District 5 in the special election in 2018. And it was a very exciting time to, toss through names and figure out who would be a great, standard bearer for our party to represent us at the county commission. I'm so glad we picked her, not picked her, but so glad we recruited her to run for that seat because it was absolutely amazing. And she's been a phenomenal champion, I think, to a lot of us and very, very, very accessible. Will we as a Democratic club have a concerted effort to try to recruit somebody? I don't know. Let's talk about it after the new year. How's it sound? Cool. All right, if there is no further discussion, it is 8:02. I think we ran a pretty good meeting, you guys. Again, I am so very, very thankful for every single one of you, for all of the time and effort that you spent, for the dollars that you donated to our candidates. I'm extremely proud of our efforts. I know we didn't win Florida. I know we lost the margins in Miami-Dade County, but we elected the first female mayor of Miami-Dade County ever. And it is a huge accomplishment. We reelected our champion in Eileen Higgins, and we got one of our own, Lucia Baez-Geller, on the school board, along with many, many other groups and organizations as well. And for that, I'm very proud of all of you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in December. Thank you, guys.
Good night, everyone.